And here we go. Okay, Scott.
Right.
So we have Scott Palmer, one of our online students here via video chat. So Scott, I'll ask you a couple of questions about the Rutgers program. I see you're actually wearing Rutgers red for this, but maybe it's not necessarily for our thing. But let's start by just tell me briefly what's your background. Where did you come from so far?
Definitely. So currently at a company called Spikeball. So we are the creators, the inventors, more or less, of a product called Spikeball. Can get more to that later, but previous life was in data-driven marketing and print distribution and print manufacturing, specific to data-driven marketing efforts. So I know what you buy, and I know when you buy it. And so let's say I'm selling you shoes, and you always buy shoes every 30 days, but I sell socks. How do I get you to buy socks next time you come in to buy shoes? So more or less taking data and trying to change your buying habits through the data by providing you offers. And so that was more or less my first taste in, I guess, supply chain management and distribution. So I take raw consumables or consumable products, so paper, ink, time, and put that all through the printing press and cut it, score it, tape it, and then mail it out and distribute it throughout the country. So that was more or less my first taste of at least the logistics and distribution component of supply chain management.
Very cool. And then next question, basically, what got you to the point that you said, you know what, I really would like to do a master's degree?
Great question. So I graduated with an undergraduate degree in marketing from a liberal arts school locally here just outside Chicago. And as I started working and kind of building my career, started finding that I needed more skills that could be applied to the things I loved, and I guess knowledge. So I really started doing a lot of research in, I guess, education hacking. So how can I go and learn to do something that I've never done before using more online resources? And so through that learning, I kind of, I guess, refound my love for education and self-betterment and learning skills. And because of that learning, I found myself at a startup here, Spikeball. And about 2.5 years ago, it was just myself and one other person. And we were basically building our inventory management systems from scratch, fulfillment distribution. So we're an e-commerce business that sells product direct to consumer as well as to retailers nationwide, and we ship product to about 42 countries right now.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, it was just myself and one other person. I was responsible for the operations side of things, and he was responsible for, I guess we would say, the sales and marketing side.
Okay, cool.
And so as we started growing, I started finding that I didn't necessarily have all the specific skills and knowledge to continue growing with the company and with the needs of our customers. And I started seeking opportunities in other educational institutions or education institutions that provided a flexible learning solution that would help me scale as an individual with the business and help create scalability within the business.
Very cool. So you kind of answered it, but I mean, there are universities behind every single street corner nowadays, yet you chose to do it online. What attracted you to online specifically?
So another awesome question. So I, being in the startup community, I have a lot of limited time, at least during the day. So going to a class was a lot more difficult. I started working on my MBA about 2 years out of college and found that going into a classroom was a little bit more difficult for me just because of the time commitment. And so when I was looking for programs specific to kind of supply chain management, I looked at Northwestern, I looked at MIT. I was going to apply to MIT, but that would have meant I would have had to have moved my family,
Sure.
and it was something that wasn't realistic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two kids, both are under the age of 5, so I have a 4 and a 1-year-old. I'm building a company, and I needed something that was a lot more flexible that I
Right.
could learn at night. Maybe listen to the lectures while I'm driving to the office or while I'm eating lunch. And then what was also great is, at least for me with online learning, it allows me to go back and watch the course again and then try to use it at work. So I'll take a real world problem and start trying to plug it into what I'm learning at Rutgers.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And now, here's the really important question for us. What attracted you to Rutgers? Because as you said, you looked at other schools. What made this program different?
Great question, again. Obviously, for me, online learning was a huge component. I was looking at programs that would be more or less in the top 20 within supply chain management. Obviously, I mentioned Rutgers, MIT, but none of them were realistic for me when it came to my hectic schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a lot of the interactions I had with the university, with Mark and yourself, were, I guess, overwhelmingly positive. I really enjoyed how informative a lot of the content was that you guys sent me about the program, how flexible the program was, how easy it was to set it up, more or less. I wouldn't say it's not necessarily easy to get enrolled in any type of school,
Right.
but just how flexible it was and how everyone at Rutgers seemed, when I was looking at the other programs, you guys were 10 times more responsive than the other programs that I looked at as well.
We'd like to hear that. We try, definitely. So after one semester completed, what do you think?
So I'm loving the program. Small story. We were recently on Shark Tank, and leading up to Shark Tank, I had taken a certain approach to inventory management and forecasting and demand management. And literally right around the week after Shark Tank, I had started my program. And it was my first semester, first class with you, demand management. And it actually allowed me to, through the process of going through the class and trying to take some of the concepts, I was using our own data and our own forecasting that we were doing. And I started playing around with it and put it into the models that we had learned in the class. And I had found that I was forecasting demand at a much lower level than I probably should have, especially with the whole theory of circulation stock and safety stock, and taking in consideration the lead time from getting my product from China here to the States. And actually went from originally only planning on importing about 28 containers to being able to meet demand and will import over 50 containers of product by the end of this year. So if I hadn't have made those adjustments due to the program and the class that I took, I would not have probably met demand over the last couple months. We would have been out of inventory, which is a great problem to have, but we didn't want to leave anything on the table.
You don't want to do that.
And so when I say being out of inventory is a good thing in terms of demand, right? We doubled what we did in 2014, but in reality, we're doing more than doubling. We're actually, it's more or less tripling in terms of revenue and in growth and in need. And we just started going into retail this year, which also threw off our initial demand planning and forecasting. And we were considering retail its own, or combining it into the group of all of our other sales channels, and kind of took a new approach and broke it out differently. And like I said, I'd never really had supply chain management experience in the past. Forecasting, inventory management, it's been learn on the fly. And that one class probably helped me and our company save. I wouldn't say save money, but it allowed us to capture a lot more customers. We made probably a couple $1 million due to the fact that I took the class and didn't run out of inventory.
Well, that's great to hear. And quite honestly, often I probably talk more about it in some of my other classes than I have in demand management. But if you can capture a customer by actually just having inventory available, that's a big deal. And often the best marketing strategy is not worth anything if you don't have the inventory available. So with that being said, I'm very glad that you got something very useful out of the class. And thank you for talking with me.
Thank you.